Rory Sabatini. If there's one thing golf fans love, it's sportsmanship. And if there's one thing Rory Sabatini doesn't have, it's sportsmanship. Rory Sabatini plays golf like he thinks he's the only one on the course. Other people are just extras unless they slow him down, in which case they're obstacles. In 2005, he did exactly that at the Booz Allen Classic, where he got so frustrated with his playing partner Ben Crane's slow play that he walked ahead and finished the hole by himself. Players who've been paired with him have described him as unbearable. He also once told a volunteer to stay out of his way, as if this man wasn't literally working for free to make sure Rory's golf ball didn't land in a water bottle. And if that wasn't enough, he later ditched his home country of South Africa to play for Slovakia, a country he has exactly zero connection to, just so he could qualify for the Olympics. Why? Because Slovakia didn't have any top-ranked golfers, meaning Rory instantly became their best player and an automatic Olympic qualifier. And to make it even more ridiculous, he actually ended up winning a bronze medal. God damn it. Because nothing screams patriotism like picking your nationality the same way most people pick their fantasy football team. Sabatini isn't just disliked. He's the kind of guy who makes you appreciate slow golfers, because at least they're not him. Sergio Garcia has spent his entire career acting like a toddler who just got told he can't have dessert. He's one of the most naturally gifted golfers of his generation, but instead of being remembered for that, he's remembered mainly for his tantrums, excuses, and the fact that he once took his rage out on a bunker. Sergio's ability to blame everyone but himself has always been quite impressive. If he hits a bad shot, it's never his fault. It's the wind, the spike marks, the fans, the media, the golf gods, or just Tiger Woods existing within a 50-yard radius. Speaking of Tiger, Sergio has had beef with him for years, but in 2013, he took it to another level. During a press conference at the annual award ceremony of the European Tour, Sergio said he would invite Tiger over for dinner and serve him fried chicken. You don't need to be a PR expert to know that's not a great thing to say. And then there's his Ryder Cup feud with American fans. Sergio has shushed crowds, taunted spectators, and once gave an interview saying he deserved more respect from the U.S. fans, which is the equivalent of getting booed off stage and demanding an encore. Despite all this, he's one of the most successful golfers in European history, including a dramatic Masters win in 2017. Before that, Garcia had built a reputation as the best player to never win a major, coming up short in heartbreakingly close finishes for nearly 2 decades. But after a playoff against Justin Rose, he finally broke the streak, proving that even golf's biggest complainer can have his day. Ben Hogan. I can already hear the Hogan fans sharpening their 1-irons. How dare you insult a man who revolutionized the modern golf swing? Relax. I'm not saying he wasn't great. I'm just saying he had the warmth of a TSA pat-down and the social skills of an unplugged Roomba. Ben Hogan is one of the greatest golfers to ever live. But if you were stuck playing 18 holes with him, you'd probably fake an injury by the 3rd tee just to escape the awkward silence. Hogan wasn't just serious about golf. He was obsessively, aggressively, if you breathe too loud, I will end you, serious. He approached the game with the joy of an IRS auditor in April. Efficient, methodical, and absolutely not in the mood for small talk. His reputation for being all business was so extreme that he once played an entire season without saying a single word to his playing partners. An entire season. And if you think he was different off the course, nope. At a dinner event, someone once told Hogan he didn't smile enough. His response What the hell's there to smile about? Which, to be fair, is exactly what you'd expect from a guy who viewed emotions as unnecessary distractions. The man was so stone-faced, he made early Tiger Woods look like a motivational speaker. But to be fair, when you've won 9 majors, had a golf swing that looked like a physics equation brought to life, and survived a near-fatal car crash, maybe you don't need friends. Matt Kuchar. Matt Kuchar has made over $60 million in his career, but if you ask him to split the bill, he'll probably pretend he forgot his wallet. For years, Kuchar had a reputation as one of the nicest guys on the PGA Tour. The kind of golfer who always had a smile on his face, a friendly wave for the crowd, and a personality so mild that even oat milk would call him bland. But as time went on, fans started noticing a pattern. Behind the easygoing exterior was a guy with a surprisingly tight grip on his wallet. His defining moment came in 2018 when he was playing in the Mayakoba Classic. Since his regular caddy wasn't available, Kuchar hired a local caddy, David El Toucan Ortiz, for the week. He ended up winning and took home $1.3 million. He paid Ortiz a whole $5,000. Now, $5,000 might sound generous until you realize that standard caddy pay is 10% of winnings, which means Kuchar basically handed over the golf equivalent of a participation ribbon. When fans called him out, Kuchar doubled down, saying $5,000 was a fair wage, which is true if he was paying the caddy to park his car, not carry his bag for 4 days. It wasn't until weeks of public humiliation that he reluctantly caved and paid up. But by then, the damage was done. Nothing screams generosity like only doing the right thing when an angry mob forces you to. At this point, Kuchar could donate his entire net worth to charity, and fans would still expect him to itemize deductions before handing over the check. Bubba Watson. Golf is supposed to be a gentleman's game. Bubba Watson, however, missed that memo, ignored the follow-up emails, and blocked the sender. If you asked every tour player to name the guy they least want to get paired with, Bubba's name used to come up so often it would start looking like a petition to get him banned. For starters, his caddies hated him. Not in a he's tough but fair way. More like this job took years off my life way. His longtime caddy, Ted Scott, lasted 15 years before finally quitting, which is longer than most hostage negotiations. And if you think Bubba only takes out his frustration on caddies, think again. He's yelled at reporters, snapped at fans, and even berated his own golf ball, as if it had free will and deliberately chose to land in the bunker. His go-to excuse? Blaming the course. Bubba once openly admitted that he played terribly at a certain tournament because he didn't like the layout. That's like burning dinner and blaming the oven for existing. Then there's his fellow players. The PGA Tour once did a survey asking, who would you least like to help you in a fight? Bubba Watson won in a landslide. That's right, his peers don't just dislike him, they actively believe he would abandon them mid-fight. Somehow, despite all this, he still has fans. Maybe it's the Masters wins, maybe it's his shot making, or maybe some people just appreciate a golfer who keeps things interesting. Curtis Strange. Curtis is the type of guy who could win the lottery and still find something to complain about. A 2-time U.S. Open winner, he was undeniably talented, but if there were majors for being grumpy, condescending, and generally unpleasant, he would have lapped Jack Nicklaus in the record books. As a player, he was all business and zero personality. If you were expecting smiles, charisma, or even the occasional, hey, nice shot, you were out of luck. Strange treated golf like a job he hated but was legally obligated to do. He played with the same enthusiasm as a guy who just got roped into spending his weekend at his in-laws' house. And it didn't stop there. In 2002, Strange was given the honor of captaining the U.S. Ryder Cup team. It should have been a career highlight. Instead, he sucked the energy out of the team like a human vacuum cleaner and led the U.S. to one of their worst losses in history. By the time his career wrapped up, one thing was clear. Curtis Strange could win golf tournaments, but he would never win a popularity contest. Ian Poulter. Ian used to treat golf the way some people treat Instagram. It's not about results. It's about making sure everyone notices him. For years, Poulter built his brand as golf's ultimate showman. He never had the smoothest swing or the most wins. But what he lacked in dominance, he made up for with sheer self-belief. In his mind, he's always the main character. His obsession with flashy outfits and luxury cars made him golf's most enthusiastic Ferrari salesman. And then there's his Ryder Cup persona. Poulter doesn't just play in the Ryder Cup. He lives for it, breathes it, and probably has a shrine to it. European fans love him. Americans would cheer if he shanked a wedge into a lake, and the Ryder Cup wouldn't be the same without him single-handedly making U.S. fans question their life choices. But outside the Ryder Cup, not as fun. Poulter was cocky, loved reminding everyone how great he was, and used to spend way too much time arguing on X and eventually blocking half of golf Twitter. Some players want to be loved, some want to be hated. Poulter just wanted to make sure you were talking about him. Patrick Reed. Oh, Patrick, where do I start? If golf had a most untrustworthy player award, Reed would have won it so many times they'd have to rename the trophy after him. The man has been accused of cheating, lying, stealing, and somehow still acts like he's the victim in every scenario. It started at the University of Georgia and later at Augusta State when his own teammates accused him of cheating and stealing. But this was just the start. For example, at the 2019 Hero World Challenge, Reed was caught improving his lie in a bunker, then tried to gaslight an entire sport into believing it didn't happen. He also tried to sue a bunch of golf analysts for $750 million because apparently stating facts about him was now a financial crime. The case got laughed out of court faster than one of his bunker excuses, and instead of cashing in, Patrick got slapped with a bill for their legal fees. But Reed's ability to alienate people isn't just limited to the golf course. He's also completely estranged from his own family. And not in a we don't talk at Christmas way. More like in a he had security physically remove his parents from a tournament way. That's right. At the 2014 U.S. Open, Patrick's wife, Justine, spotted his parents in the crowd. And instead of, ignoring them like a normal dysfunctional family, she had them thrown out. Because nothing says well-adjusted like using event security to enforce your family drama. Patrick Reed doesn't burn bridges. He carpet bombs them, rebuilds them, and then sues the architects. And yet, somehow, he keeps finding new ways to make himself even more disliked. If golf doesn't work out, he's got a promising future in politics. Bryson DeChambeau. Bryson is what happens when a physics major gets really into creatine and decides to ruin golf for everyone else. At his peak of unlikability, he was golf's biggest overthinker. The guy who calculated air density before every shot, took 2 minutes to line up a 3-foot putt, and once tried to explain why a 370-yard drive was actually just simple math. Fans hated how slow he played. Fellow pros rolled their eyes every time he pulled out a protractor. And when he packed on 50 pounds of muscle to start smashing drives into orbit, people started comparing him to a mad scientist who lost control of his own experiment. Then came his legendary feud with Brooks Cupcake. Years of passive-aggressive jabs finally settled in what can only be described as a shitty 12-hole boxing match disguised as golf. But in 2024 and 2025, Bryson did something shocking. He stopped being the villain and actually became likable. He's ditched some of his arrogance, stopped blaming air molecules for bad shots, and actually seems more relatable. Whether it's genuine or just a well-executed PR campaign, one thing's for sure, Bryson probably can be taken off this list now. Whether it's cheating, tantrums, or just being downright insufferable, these guys have made sure that golf never runs out of drama. But whether you love them or hate them, one thing's for sure, golf would be a lot less entertaining without them. Who's missing from this list? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe for more. Because let's be honest, if golf keeps giving us stories like these, someone's got to document it. See you next time, cutie pie.